Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new season with brand new sponsors. Like same great racing action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's the World Series of Sim Racing Roasted Gems Coffee Cup Series action for Season 5. This is race number 1. A little bit different of a destination for race number 1. We are going to be here at Las Vegas as the drivers are getting set and ready to go. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Season 5 certainly is going to be a fun one. The WSSR series is so proud to be having that of Roasted Gem Coffee joining us as the title sponsor of WSSR. Go head over to roastedgems.com to get yourself some of their best coffee, premium quality coffee, and also go use our promo code WSSR for 5% off. Start your day off with some Roasted Gems coffee. Us up in the booth, as well as some of the drivers, they purchased Roasted Gems coffee, and we can't approve that it is fantastic and it is good quality coffee to get. But the drivers, they're ready for the first race of the season. It's the WSSR Merch Store 225. You don't have to risk it. You don't have to gamble. It's great quality. And go get yourself some great merch as well for WSSR. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart, as well as going to be having Robert Moyer Jr. in the background running our productions. Trevor, new season. You came in periodically to help us in the booth for Season 4, but now full-time for Season 5. How are you feeling for a brand new season?
I'm excited to be up here with you guys doing the broadcast. Even more excited to see what these drivers do this season. Raced with a lot of these guys, so I know the competition out there is going to be fierce, and looking to see what some of the newer guys can do as well.
We got a lot of the same competition that's coming from Season 4 to Season 5. We also got a very strong rookie class coming in to try to see what they can bring to some of the veterans, as well as we're going to be seeing our Season 4 champion, Vincent Sora, coming back to try to keep his crown here for Season 5. Now, Season 4, a much shorter season. It was only that of 8 races. This go around, it's a much longer season for these drivers. We're doubling the races. We're adding a playoff factor to the mix. For everyone out on track, they're excited to see how this season is going to start up for themselves. Tonight, going to be 150 laps here at Las Vegas as practice is slowly coming to a conclusion. Got about 10 seconds left. Most of these drivers are slowing down. That's the 20 of Brandon Zimmerman, who's going to be seeing what he can bring. Currently 4th on the board here for practice, and some other fast drivers will watch out for. That of Brandon Colley, Zach Hall, Tom Sinchek, and the most wingish driver in that of WSSR history, Ryan P. Johnson, going to be back in 9th place. Not the usual position to see that 28 machine, but let's see if we can reset it. That was practice times. You had a little bit of help of the draft if you were working with other drivers, but Trevor, it's qualifying. It's all on their own. And they've got 2 laps, 5 minutes to see how fast they can get on this track.
It's going to be interesting to see what these guys can do without the draft in qualifying, and the key is, keep it wound up as much as you can and try not to get loose. We know in these next-gen cars, they can get snappy on you, and they can be kind of evil coming out of these corners.
This is going to be the big thing for these drivers. How consistent is your times, and who's got that 1 lap speed that's going to get you up front? Currently, as the driver is getting rolling and ready to go, their times about to get started. Warm-ups are done. Let's see how fast they can get rolling here, as we see that of the 38 going to be on track, getting themselves rolling. That of Christopher Norris is going to be seeing how fast that car can go. A couple of drivers coming in talking about rookies they're going to be hitting this season, and going to be seeing that 38, hoping that he's going to have a stronger season for himself. But that of Brandon Zimmerman, who I talked about, 4th on the board, very fast. He's one of the faster rookies to watch out for, as well as watch out for that of Aaron Smith II, and a couple of other drivers that are making their runs here this evening as first laps are being put down. Christopher Norris is going to be the first of those, but Trevor, how are you feeling about this track? I know my other cohorts that I talked to throughout the week here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we talk about qualifying. It always changes on conversations on if it's the first lap or that second lap that's got that true speed.
For me, it's always the second lap. The first lap you use, in my opinion, you'd use it to get the car up to speed, get some heat in the tires, and then the second lap you can try to pin it and get your best lap in. But some of these guys, having raced with Brian and Vincent Sora and Cedric Hunter and those guys, Zach Hall, some of these guys can lay down that fast lap on lap one. So it's just gonna be interesting to see how it plays out for everybody.
Now, this racetrack was ran last season, and for season 4, it was actually that of Tom Sinchek getting the pole award for the 8 machine, and currently on the board, going to be second after his qualifying times are done. It's going to be Steven Stimpian in the 81, top of the board currently. We're still waiting for a couple of other very strong contenders to try to top the board for themselves, but Brandon Colley, who was the fastest during practice, only third fastest this go around for qualifying, as we see here, that going to be the 88 on course as these drivers continue to race as fast as they can. Certainly going to be drivers to watch out for. This is the 88 of that of Chris Howell, who's 16th currently on track, as he's going to be coming out of turn number 4. A lot of shuffling on our board, but for the 88 comes across the line. We wait for where he finishes as we wait for the ticker to cycle his way through, and it looks like for the 88, bumps up a couple of positions up to 11th. It's going to be for that of Howell, but here comes a couple of other fast drivers to watch out for. Here's going to be that of Jamie Lee Dunning in the 54, and Dunning going to be a driver that's going to hope for a faster time. That first lap invalidated for the 54.
Yeah, it's never good to see when your first lap gets invalidated. Hopefully, probably from him getting into the wall or something, so hopefully it didn't do a lot of damage or slow him down coming onto lap number 2.
And across the line for the 54, going to be 7th for himself. Steven Stimpian still top of our charts for the 81 with a 30.513 second time. But here comes the 77, who's going to be trying to do their best. That's actually going to be seeing these drivers running around this course, get themselves set up and racing. But got to say, for this field right now, certainly going to be quick to watch out for. But this is actually going to be the 7 of that of Ellison, who's going to be driver that's going to be running his 77 on their car, but is actually the 7. Going to be a little bit tricky for these drivers. We want to make sure that we don't get too slipped up, but it always is something that can happen periodically of drivers accidentally having the wrong numbers on their cars compared to what's on our ticker. Here's the 91 of Martin Morales, going to be hoping for a quick time for themselves. 21st after their qualifying times as they are done. But Trevor, 40 seconds left. There's only that of Justin Lumpkin, the 61 that's left to put down a time. But certainly Lumpkin, not as fast as he was hoping for that first lap.
No, not as quick as he was hoping. Hopefully he's got some warmth or some heat in those tires, and we'll see here as he crosses the line on lap number 2 where that puts him on the board. It looks like puts him up to 9th fastest for Justin Lumpkin.
Very quick time for Justin Lumpkin. He came in periodically at the end of the season, but did not run enough of that of laps for himself, enough races, for himself to be categorized as not a rookie for this season. So he's going to be part of our rookie class of drivers, where we've got ourselves about that of 10 to 12 rookie drivers. And I say that number variety because there are a few drivers that are going to be missing out on these first couple of races, but certainly are hoping to come in throughout this season. But tonight, these drivers have practiced, they've qualified, and it's time to take a look at where the driver is going to be set here for our qualifying results, which I know for the drivers, they've been excited to see this. It's actually our qualifying results going to be sponsored by Colley's mom. That is Brandon Colley and the number 1's mom, and our grid brought to you by that of Colley's mom to show you all where her son is horrible. Well, really just showing in general how bad Colley is at qualifying. He was the fastest during practice. Why didn't he get the pole for qualifying? He only comes up 3rd. Brandon Colley's got to find himself in a pole position some way soon to make his mom proud. But someone that is going to be giving that of proudness to his mother, going to be Steven Stimpian. Top of the board for the 81 with Tom Sinchek going to be to his outside. Then there's Brandon Colley going to be in 3rd with Aaron Smith. The 2nd going to be in 4th. Zach Hall going to be in 5th. In 6th place is that of Rich Jamison, as well as going to be seen in 7th. That is Jamie Lee Dunning, with that of Justin Lewis going to be in 8th. 9th going to be Justin Lumpkin, and also going to be seen that of Ellison going to be in 10th.
In 11th, we have Brian Johnson. 12th, the defending champion, Vincent Sora. Chad Wilkes rolls off 13th to his outside, Chris Paul in the 89. Christopher Howell rolls off 15th with Tyler Dangler in the 19 to his outside. Jamie Little and Alex Light roll off 17 and 18th. Brad Delph and James Vinning round out your top 20.
Then in 21st is going to be Cedric Hunter with that of Martin Morales going to be in 22nd. That of Brandon Zimmerman going to be in 23rd. With that of Jonathan Cogswell going to be in 24th. Christopher Norris in 25th. With that of Kyle Rochelle in 26th. Art Greco going to be in 27th. With that of Richards Wolfsburg going to be in that of 28th, as well as going to be seeing that of Carl Pooler in 29th. 30th is James Kaufman with Chuck Sweeting back in 31st position. That of Michael Yarrow in 32nd. That of Bob Skinner going to be in 33rd, and James Hackworth Jr. finishing out our 34 drivers this season, which, gotta say, Trevor, we're even missing drivers, meaning that this field at some point could be close to 40 when we get to our maximum capacity. But seeing 34 drivers after last season when we started the season and we're hoping for 20 to 25 drivers, this is impressive to see as we're getting rolling and about to go green.
It's great to see the league grow this much over the course of, essentially just a shortened season that they had to get everybody back in it. So I'm excited for this season, especially excited to see if we actually make it to a full 40-car field.
And Trevor, just before we get rolling, what are some of your factors here at Las Vegas that you're expecting to see here early on, or factors to try to get into victory lane?
The key at first is going to be don't lose the car. We all know that these things are going to be super loose at the start of the run, and then just keep the tires underneath you. If this thing goes green and you can save tires, you can put yourself in a pretty good position to be there at the end for a chance to win the race.
Who will be up front to get this done? Well, it's going to be Steven Stimpy and Tom Sinchek leading up front to take control when our pace car rolls off. But I want to give a big thank you to everyone watching us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart, as well as Robert Moyer Jr. in the background running productions. Thank you for joining us. It's a brand new season for the WSSR Roasted Gems Coffee Cup Series, Season 5, Race 1, the WSSR Merch Store 225. It's green as they're roaring out in turn number 1. We're going to be side by side and almost a little bit of contact with Tom Sinchek and Stimpy, but that outer lane, a little bit of a checkup by the 8. Had to lift off for a second, which gives all the opening to Stimpy and Colley.
Colley looking to the inside here. He's got a good run down the backstretch. He's going to dive it to the inside of Steven Stimpy, and he's going to try to lead lap 1 here. Pushes up just a little bit, and Stimpy is going to come back to him on the outside.
This driver is going to be aggressive early on, but side by side, Brandon Colley, Steven Stimpy, and it's going to be Colley by that of a nose, leading lap number 1 here this evening. Again, we're running 150 laps, but we do have a stage break at the end of lap 40 for these drivers, as that stage break is going to be sponsored by Admin Box. But the goal is, can you survive to get to that point? These drivers have no fast repairs, but they got 4 extra sets of tires in pit road to work with, and great action on screen. Side by side, Colley, Stippian, they keep it this way. Coming across the line, but Stippian says, I'll take that lap for myself.
That outside line got a really good run there out of 3 and 4. Might be something you have to look into later on in this race, is getting to that outside, using that momentum to your advantage, especially down the back stretch here. But it looks like Colley's going to end up clearing him here out of turn 2.
The clear, make himself be available to be up front in our front 2. A little bit of single file racing at the moment, but I think Steven Stimpy might be thinking about taking that position back. Drivers up in the top, going to be in the top 10. Biggest mover so far going to be that of Gabriel Ellison, who's going to be back in that 7th place position, up 3 spots for themselves. But gotta say, with the side-by-side pack racing here, Trevor, driver certainly got to be careful. But I'm also curious, what are your thoughts on the tire wear for these drivers, on how well they're going to have to work as we drop back to last season's champion of Vincent Sora?
Tire wear is going to be big here, especially in the afternoon in Vegas. We all know how hot this track gets. It's going to get slick. These guys are going to start sliding the rear ends out. So I know a lot of these guys want to push and get into good track position, especially for that stage. I mean, getting stage points early on in the season is going to be critical for some of these guys. But it's a fine balance between getting to the top 10 and saving those tires.
Top 10 drivers at our stage break get bonus points. If you are the leader at our stage break, you get 10 bonus points, and it drops down by 1 point to 1 position until we get to 10th place. They get 1 point for themselves. Everyone else get nothing. They get 0 bonus points at our stage break, and then you're down to just running well to finish up front. As we take a look here, Vincent Sora, Aaron Smith, that of Aaron Smith II, going to be side by side, the 70 and the 15, and Vincent Sora, not the best qualifying run I think that we were expecting from last season's champion. He won 4 of our 8 races in a shortened season that we had for season 4. And he actually found himself in victory lane at this same racetrack last season. But I'm curious on how well he's going to be doing moving forward. It's just right now, he's tied with our biggest movers of the day, up that to 3-4. Matters on it if he can get by here of Gabriel Ellison in that 8th place position.
Yeah, it's kind of weird seeing Vincent qualifying that far back, but I've raced with him in many leagues, and we all know that he's got speed. So, not surprised to see him moving up this quickly early on in the race.
Got to keep our eyes on the 77 in the orange and black. Talked about how we're going to be seeing 2 77s. The red, white, and blue 77, that's going to be Gabriel Ellison, who's the number 7 on our ticker. But the actual 77, that's Justin Lewis. And Justin Lewis, over the offseason, really felt confident in his racing abilities coming into this season. Thought he was going to be a threat to watch out for at least top 5s, top 10 finishes. Right now, though, he's got to be careful to make sure that this car makes it to the end of the day. He's gotten wildly close to that outside wall on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, and you have to be careful in these next-gen cars. You get into the wall hard enough, and with the new damage model on these cars, you can break the right front suspension, the right rear suspension, and with these guys not having a quick repair, that's a guaranteed 8 minutes of required repairs that you have to sit on pit road for, and that could ruin your race real early.
And talking about, those updates that we had, those updates struck in the middle of the season for season 4, and we got to see a major swing. The first half of the season was all Vincent Sora. He won the first 3 out of the 4 races, and then we saw the update strike about the halfway point where Brian Johnson found a lot more speed on this 28, became a lot more of a dominant force to be seen on track. But here tonight, stuck back in 7th, and Trevor, I think you could touch on this a little bit more on the dirty air and how the air package is really affecting these drivers.
Yeah, the dirty air in these cars, it's not so bad when you're following somebody down the straightaway, but in the corners, the car just wants to not turn. Essentially, it just wants to go right into the wall. And so with these, you have to be a little bit more cautious on where you put the nose of your car, because if you're going to follow somebody into the corner, there's a chance that you're just going to go right toward the wall. So picking a line and maybe arcing it a little bit more into the corner can really help you get a run on somebody on exit.
And here comes the run by the 15, Vincent Sora. And for Vincent Sora, been watching him go through this field, it's really been attached to the tail bumper of the 28 of Brian Johnson. And wherever Johnson goes, make sure that he stays close and really making this charge forward. It's been incredible to watch both this 28 and 15 here in early going, 12 laps in, and that of going to be Brandon Colley leading the way, as he has only missed out on that of 2 laps so far, where that is Steven Stympian was able to take the lead for himself, as battling side-by-side for 3rd place. Now going to be on, that is Zach Hall and Rich Jamison going to be now side-by-side, and here comes the bob and the weaving. Who do you want to work with? Do you even want to follow the driver that you're in line? As it's going to be that of Zach Hall, going to be getting a lot more assistance from his teammate of that of Tom Sinchek behind him, that of the Category 5 drivers, but Tom Sinchek running that of the late Apex team for himself. But talking about dropping further back, here is 14th, as well as going to be that of 15th and 16th place runner, Cedric Connor, and that of Brad Delph going to be running with one another, as well as seeing a couple of other drivers side by side. That's going to be Kyle Rochelle and that of Jeremy Little.
And side-by-side down the backstretch, it looks like Delph got a really good run off the top of turn 2, got a really good run down the backstretch, and was able to clear Jeremy Little as they headed off into 3 and 4 there.
We're going to be also seeing a couple of other drivers cycling through this field, seeing where drivers are at. Currently watching the battling side-by-side. Got to be careful. This is going to be Carl Pooler and that of Christopher Fail that are going to be side-by-side. Then further back from them, it's James Vining and also that of Martin Morales, while the 33 of Vining going to find himself being pulled up a little bit too high, kind of the fall behind the 91, but a great launch for themselves as they're watching the 88 get into the outside wall. That's going to be, that's going to be seeing these drivers struggling for the moment. That is a lot of these drivers hoping that they don't get into that outside wall. That's going to be a troublesome spot. That was actually the 89, that got into the outside wall, losing time. Drivers further on back. See here, really trying to just run their own race as this back half of the field.
Yeah, some of these, might be some of the newer guys back here just trying to get some laps in, get acquainted to the car, get acquainted to the guys in the league, and, maybe in that second half after the first stage, get up there and get involved. But I know for myself, when I joined a new league, I tend to run in the back for a couple laps just to fill everything out and just get acquainted to everybody. It looks like we just had one car bounce off the wall there. At the back of the pack looked like
it's 56.
Yep, the 56 of Richard Wolsifer there got into the wall a little bit.
Wolsifer, we got to talk with Richard and get a little bit of a sense of his story coming into this league. One of our rookies that joined in and was a driver that actually was watching the broadcast, got himself a wheel and wanted to find himself getting a little bit more competitive racing and wanted to hop in and join the WSSR Roasted Gems Coffee Cup Series. And what a way to experience and try to learn new racing, running back here with that of James Hackworth Jr. Hackworth Jr., a veteran of this series and a driver that's always trying to learn each season on how to get faster. And for that of seeing, this 56 running with, drivers that are going to be back markers for now, but we never know. Richard could become a threat later on in the season of trying to go for those top 20, top 15s with more and more experience that comes in as we hop on board and get ourselves a driver cam of the 56.
Yeah, it looks fairly good. Nice and smooth wheel inputs there. Just making some laps. You said that he was, fairly new, got the wheel not too long ago, so he's looking pretty good, looking fairly comfortable in that car.
I mean, that's the big thing. When you're trying to get familiar with racing, stock car racing, this is not, Trevor, I would say that you have a lot more experience in this than the first times that you started racing on iRacing, on the fact that it's not something you grab and figure out immediately of racing ovals. Yes, they're running around in a circle, and that's what most people think whenever they see NASCAR and drivers running at these tracks, but there's a lot more skill that needs to be thrown in if you want to be running with the drivers up front at the pace that they go.
Oh yeah, it's a lot harder than we make it look. I can tell you that. And I still try to perfect it when I run in leagues, and you learn every time. You come to a different track, you race with different people, you learn different lines, different places to lift, brake. So, it might be rough for a couple of these guys early on in the season, but I expect, to see some improvement from the rookies and some of these guys as we get on and as they learn from some of the more competitive guys out here.
As drivers up front, we see this is Steven Stampian trying to figure out how to close in the gap of that of Brandon Colley, but also having Zach Hall, who's now moved up to third, the 42, up 2 positions from where he started, and has been kind of being patient, working with themselves as Tom Sinchek and a couple of other drivers up front trying to figure out this pace, but there goes Zach Hall diving it down low. This has just been a slow, methodical push by the 42. Not completely clear. Will finally find himself being clear of the nose of the 81. Certainly a little bit of a scare, but that gives an opening. Here comes Tom Sinchek to the inside.
Yeah, Zach Hall kind of slowed down Stimpy in there down the backstretch. That allowed Sinchek to get a really good run down the backstretch. He took it to the inside there of 3 and 4. Didn't quite get the run off of 4 that he might have wanted, but he's still going to be to the inside here of Stimpy as they head off into 1 and 2.
We're heading down into turns 1 and 2, side by side for third place. Steven Stampian and the 81 on the outside. Then you got the 8 of Tom Sinchek to the inside, working with one another. And under the same banner of Category 5 racing are these basically front 6 drivers are all under a banner. Outside of this league, they all are racing, working with one another, trying to maximize their speed and be the most competitive team out there on iRacing. But tonight, competitors battling out to see how strong they can be. And this is some of the most hottest action on track. This is battling going on for that of 7th, 8th, 9th position as we ride on board with the 70 of Aaron Smith the second. And for Smith, he's going to be down on the low end as they're 3 wide for a quick moment. If you look back, it's going to be seen that of Ellison as well as Lewis. Lewis in the 77 on the outside, orange and black in the red, white, and blue 77. Make contact, bumping and rubbing out of the corner. That is right in front of Cedric Hunter and others. And you can start to tell as we're 24 laps into this run, the tire wear factor is starting to kick in a little bit more as we're past halfway for this first stage.
Yeah, you could see it a little bit there with the 7 of Ellison as he was going off into 3 and 4. Got a little tight, got up into the door of Justin Lewis there in the 77, but both of them kept it straight. And I think there was a little bit of contact between Cedric Hunter and one of those two down the back straightaway, and that allowed Aaron to clear all of them, and he kind of set sail from this little group right here.
You got drivers side by side. That side drafting as well is going to be a big factor for these drivers, and just not able to get rolling as finally get in line. That was going to be Gabriel Ellison in the red, white, blue 77. A 7 on our ticker, as there's the aggressive move by Cedric Hunter to the inside, as well as others going to be trying to follow suit. That's going to be following that of Jamie Dunning, who's going to be following in the 54. Then behind that Hello Kitty machine as well, going to be seeing the 17. That's Chad Wilkes, who's going to be hoping to find a little bit of space as he's side by side with Tyler Dangler in that Among Us 19 machine. And as well, that of Brad Delp going to be making his charge. And if anything, we're starting to see that sense, Trevor. Those drivers that were being patient, waiting for their tires to finally click in, or waiting for everyone else to abuse their tires, they're starting to make this surge.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way. Tyler Dangler, I know, is one of those guys that tends to save his tires really well, and looks like he's making some pretty good progress up through the field at this point in time. And you can really tell the difference, especially on corner exit, on the guys who still have some grip in those tires and guys who have been pushing too hard. As this, looks like Tyler gets a really good run there on the bottom of the 77 there of Justin Lewis, and looks like he might get him cleared here going into turn 1.
He's going to dive it down low, going to find himself clear, and we'll only see a little bit of a charge from the 17 on the high side. Here comes the run, close to that outside wall. Actually going to be hurting that of Wilkes, so he's going to be trying to do a little bit of a block, as that's Justin Lumpkin who's coming in. And Lumpkin and Justin Lewis, two drivers that qualified inside of our top 10, now struggling to stay inside of our top 15.
That's, looks like one of the cases of just use your stuff up a little bit too early on, trying to fight with some of those guys. And it's hard to do as a racer. I mean, you want to battle for every position, but sometimes you just gotta let it go, save your stuff, and be there when it counts. Especially in a league where you run stages, getting those stage points can be very important, especially come playoff time.
As we're going to be seeing that of Justin Lewis going extremely wide, giving an opening to the 17 to potentially go 3 wide. No, we're going to stay side by side, single file behind that of 14, and now Chad Wilkes is going to be picking and choosing who he wants to assist here so far. Want to give an update to drivers up front. Here it is, Steven Stimpian falling back to 5th place, a driver that was once battling for the lead, now trying to stay inside of our top 5. Vincent Sora trying again, so following in the tracks of Brian Johnson. We currently just one driver in between those machines, and as I say that though, our leader up front trying to just pull away that of Brandon Colley. Well, the amount of battling that's been going on, almost had a full second gap over Zach Hall, but that gap starting to shrink in moments, expand in others. Right now, Colley is looking smooth and good. Might not have qualified as well as he wanted to, but still a decent time. But I gotta say, since he's gotten this fresh air, the one has looked dominant up front.
Yeah, having that fresh air, I'm sure Colley is loving that. Just can put that car anywhere he wants to. Nice and easy inputs, save the tires, and let these guys battle it out. And I mean, these guys have been going at it for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, pretty much from the drop of the green flag, as we see Stimpy in here come under pressure from Aaron Smith, as he's going to go to the outside of the 81 car and just see if he can get that run down the backstretch and get him cleared heading off into turn 3.
Aaron Smith, one of our drivers that were over the offseason, when drivers were in this series trying to get recruitment races to get new drivers or old drivers to get them back into the swing of the WSSR racing schedule. And Aaron Smith was one of the rookies that was brought in, but he certainly is not a rookie on the iRacing experience level, coming in as one of our highest drivers in iRating. That's the rating you get from running official races on iRacing. He's got the highest of anyone in this race. And so this 70 machine certainly has the experience, but based off of WSSR Roasted Gem Coffee's Cup Series experience level, comes in as a rookie.
Yeah, he's one that I'm going to have my eye on all season. I've seen him in top split racing, and I know he's quick, so it'll be interesting to see how he stacks up against basically the top 5 guys. I mean, these are Brandon Colley, Zach Hall, Sinchek, Sora, Brian Johnson. These are all guys that we expect to be up front every week. So seeing Aaron up here with these guys already, duking it out with them, is pretty promising heading into the rest of the season. I'll be interested to see what he can do.
Yeah, one of the talking points for our top 5 right now was, how are you going to be trying to be aggressive? Now, your friends, your teammates outside of this league, but Season 4, there was a lot of, I feel like you're faster than me, you can take off. I'm not really going to challenge you too much. That was kind of a big talking point for all these drivers as a whole was, hey, this is a league race, let's have our fun. And maybe let's use our elbows a little bit more. We don't have to be as nice to one another. We know each other. Let's try to get as fast as we can. And the mixing of having Aaron Smith, who's a driver that is showing right now, fastest car on track, really good at saving his tires. This is great to see because it was Brian P. Johnson that was notoriously known as the best driver to save tires. Well, he's soon to be passed by the 70 machine. We're side by side, battling for third, battling for fourth. And here comes Aaron Smith, the second, to the outside of Brian Johnson. And now it's a wall. Where do you go? And right now they're feeling boxed in.
Boxed in, check to the outside of Sora. Smith to the outside of Johnson. It's going to be who can get the better run here coming out of turn 4. Hopefully the 8 can get a good run. It doesn't box the 70, and the 70 is coming with a lot of speed on that high line. But I don't think he's going to have anywhere to go heading off into turn 1.
You might be wondering what just happened. Why are all the cars the same? Well, we had to refresh our system. We're sorry about this. We are riding with these drivers right now as Aaron Smith going to be charging down the backstretch, trying to run with that of Vincent Sora as well as others. And Aaron Smith the second. I love this 70 machine. His whole entire iRacing career, always known for running just the yellow scheme. And here he comes, making the dive bomb move to get by that 15 machine. Our season 4 champion gets passed by Aaron Smith.
I'm wondering if that's just Vincent just letting Aaron go, knowing that he's got a little bit more speed than him, just letting him go for right now. So we've only got about 2.5 laps left before the stage here. But as I say that, Vincent gets a really good run here on the outside coming into turn 3.
All matters on right now, Tom Sinchek. Will he get a good run or will Vinny get the better one? Side by side, little bit of a squeeze, and it's Vincent Sora coming with the charge and the dueling back and forth. You'll love to see it, of drivers battling with one another. And right now, Brandon Colley pulling away for himself, feeling comfortable and confident. It is 3 laps to go before our stage break. Again, it's at the end of lap 40 when our stage break will come out. Top 10 drivers get those bonus points, and right now our front 6 putting on a show as Brian Johnson to the outside trying to make the pass out of turn number 4.
It looks like that outside line, especially on older tires, might be the preferred line. You can get a really good run if you place your car right on the outside of somebody. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, especially as we get later on into this race after the stage break. It'll be interesting to see how many people utilize that.
And as these drivers are racing on, 2 laps to go in this stage, there are a couple of drivers that are starting to close in around our bubble position as well. Brad Delph going to be in 10th place with Gabriel Ellis in 9th, but it's Tyler Dangler and that of Jamie Dunning who are going to be in that of 11th and 12th position. 1 spot out for that of Tyler Dangler, but the yellow flag waves, caution flag out, and it's going to be on-track incident back in that of 28th position. It's going to be that of Martin Morales, Bob Skinner, as well as James Kaufman, bringing out the yellow 1 lap before the stage break.
You hate to see it for these guys back there in the back of the pack, and it's be interesting to see what happened here.
And it's going to be, I believe, Bob Skinner, the 82, going to be the driver of watching a point. Again, he actually got into the wall on the exit of the corner, and then Morales and Skinner, Morales just drifts up that 91. I don't think he was meaning to make that contact, but drifts up into the 82, then comes down across the nose, and at this point, just locking up the brakes, trying to slow down, and comes right back up into the track and oncoming traffic. And luckily for the 20, that of Brandon Zimmerman gets by, but this is when James Kaufman becomes an innocent victim. James Vining gets by the 25, already in his lane, no way to slow down, and right into that of Martin Morales Jr. That of Martin Morales, excuse me.
Yeah, it looks like Kaufman thought Martin might roll back down the track, but Martin did his job there, held his brakes, and unfortunately for Kaufman, just chose the wrong line and didn't get it woed down in time.
That's going to be causing 3 drivers to have require damage for themselves, to have to come into pit road to get service done for themselves. That's going to be the 56 of Wilshire, as well as going to be seeing that of Mark Morales and James Kaufman, all going to have to come into pit road for extended time into pit road with getting what we call a meatball flag. It's a black flag with an orange circle, and it gives you the meaning that you have to come into pit road or you will be disqualified from this race. As we are here at that of our stage break. Stage break is sponsored by Admin Box. Thank you so much for the Admin Box for being one of the sponsors for that of the WSSR Roasted Gems Coffee Cup Series, as well as being one of the sponsors here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As we'll touch on them a little bit more, but for us up in the booth, we're going to step aside as we'll let the drivers cool down on this pacing before they go green. No more stage breaks after this, and we'll take a quick break for ourselves, grab a drink of water. You can take a quick break. We'll be back for more racing action in a moment here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WSSR Roasted Gem Coffee Cup Series Racing Action at Season 5, race number 1 here at that of the WSSR Merch Store 225. Thank you for taking a quick break here at our stage break, sponsored by Admin Box. We'll talk about Admin Box and many other sponsors later on, but we're back to Green Flag Racing. Zach Hall, Tom Sinchak, Brandon Colley, going to be side by side, but I got to say, Trevor, Zach Hall, great pit stop that gave him that track position up front.
Great pit stop and a great start there for Zach. Got a huge jump on the field. Kind of caught Brandon Colley sleeping a little bit. And I don't know, I think these guys are using that new restart zone procedure, so that might have played a little bit of a factor in it.
Yeah, the restart procedure, these drivers, once they get into the Geico restart zone, which is painted on the drivers coming to the straightaway, once they get in that zone, hit the throttle, whoever's the leader, once they take off, that is when the green flag will come out. And for all the drivers, they don't know when the green flag's going to wave, so everyone's going to be on their toes, but at the same time, could be caught getting a penalty very easily if you're not focused. And speaking of penalties, seems like one driver does have one. That's going to be Bob Skinner, who's going to have to come into pit road with a drive-through for himself with a unsafe restart here on this lap, as up front, Zach Hall and many others single filing out for our front four, but it's side by side. That's Brian Johnson and Aaron Smith going to be working with one another.
Yeah, they single filed out there down the backstretch. It's a top 6 now, nose to tail, top 7 nose to tail. Looks like Johnson's going to look to the outside of Brandon Cawley as he's lost 2 spots from the start and looking to lose maybe a third here to Brian Johnson as he goes around on his outside.
Brian Johnson's finding that outer lane, and sometimes when you're seeing these drivers, the inside lane might be the preferred spot to be, but if everyone's running it, if everyone's getting an accordion effect and really have to check up into the corners, outer lane is not the worst place to be, as you can carry a lot more speed on the exit. At the same time, the tire wear, it's kind of going to be beating and banging, and speed of being banging further back. Going to be seeing Kyle Rochelle, others into the inside wall, and it's the 21 drifting up against the inside surface. We stay green. He was off the racing line and not in front of that oncoming traffic. So we stay green as the 21 has to slowly get rolling. But that is a frustrating moment for a driver that was up inside of our top 15.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, especially when you don't get the caution. But it looks like he's got it rolling. Doesn't look like he's got any suspension damage or anything to that car. So might lose a lap, but you never know. He might get a caution later on in this race and get caught back up to the field.
As he continues to hope for caution to come out up front, the battling is going to be happening for these drivers up for second. Going to be Tom Sinchak, Vincent Sora, going to be challenging one another. Driver that's moved up the most positions all night long, going to be Michael Yarrow, going to be all the way back in that of 18th position. But the second biggest mover, Cedric Hunter in 18th. Hello Kitty Machines on his move, but here's the move for the lead. Here comes Tom Sinchak to the inside, the 8, trying to get aggressive. But will it be too much on those tires? As the 8 not able to confirm the pass just yet, but that momentum's looking good as he drops down to the apron and sets up for turn number 1.
Dive off into turn 1, backs off of it a little bit here, see if he can get the better run. Coming down the back stretch there on Zachary Hall. Doesn't quite look like it. Looks like Zach got a really good exit there off of 2. And Vincent Sora is just lurking there to see what these top 2 are going to do.
And he waits, he holds on, and that's exactly also what we're seeing back here for that the Hello Kitty pink machine. That's Cedric Hunter, who is trying to go for himself one of his better runs so far, up 13 positions, qualified 21st. One of the poorer qualifying runs. You don't usually see that run, that is Cedric Hunter. He's battling with other drivers that love the fact that they're back on fresh tires, or that's Jamie Lee Dunning, Justin Lewis, but also a driver with a longer pit stop than most, trying to get damage repair. The 81 is Steven Stimpian, back here in 11th position.
Yeah, our pole sitter all the way back here outside the top 10. Like you said, had a little bit of damage, but the nice thing about these next-gen cars, you know, I know we touched on it with the new damage models, you can actually get into the wall in these, and it doesn't absolutely destroy the aero like it used to do on the Gen 6 cars. So a little bit of damage, not necessarily race-ending damage, but if you got the caution, you might as well go ahead and get it repaired and get back out there and try to get back up through the field.
Here comes the 26. That's going to be Jeremy Little, who's trying to make a good run. Jeremy Little had not that many runs last season for season 4, but did get a pull award, and that pull award was at Richmond. But certainly a driver that shows up, going to be a top 10 runner, because some of the rookies that have shown up might be more aiming for a top 15. That's exactly where he is in 12th place with the 26, trying to pick and choose where to go. But also going to see that at 14, Brad Delph sticking his nose in. Behind them, biggest mover of the day, that's where we find Michael Yarrow in the 98.
Yeah, that looks like they got a little bit stacked up there. That allowed Delph to get a really good run down the inside, and Yarrow right there just waiting, being patient. He's moving through the field really good. You know, he might be looking at maybe a top 10. Who knows if this race goes green where he could end up.
And after we were watching these drivers right now, front runners certainly have been being a little bit more chaotic as we have to move up to our leaders because Zach Hall has got a bumper full of the 28. Brian Johnson, he made the pass over Tom Sinchak, who's just been falling backwards now and out to that of 4th place. But the 28 of Brian Johnson, he has almost made the pass twice and now has to pick and choose again to set up how to make this pass for the lead. But the big struggle after those first about 5 to 6 initial laps, Trevor, it feels like it's almost impossible to really make the pass for the lead.
Yeah, But I mean, I've been watching Brian the last couple laps. He's been utilizing that outside line really well. It takes a little bit of a different line than Zach does. A little bit more higher of an entry. Gives him a little bit more cleaner air on that nose, and I think that's allowed him to kind of get past Tom, and has allowed him to run down Zach Hall for the lead.
A driver that is still in line with this group, and that Brendan Colley, who led the majority of our first stage of this race, for this first 40 laps, now going to be back here in fifth. He attempting to go for a pass here. He ran on board with the aid of Tom Senchek. Here he comes. It's going to be, that of Brandon Colley to the outside, trying to make this pass for the 1. But I want to give a credit to the 7, back in 7th place, running in that red, white, and blue 77. So we find Gabriel Ellison, who's done a great job of keeping up with the pace of our leaders, where we saw in that first stage, got trapped around that of 10th place. Really wasn't able to find a great run for themselves, but have been able to do so right now.
They're just kind of holding on to the back of this lead pack here, staying in their draft, maybe saving a little bit of tire to see what he can do later on in this green flag run. As we see, it looks like Brandon Colley was able to clear Tom Simchek there for 4th. But good to see Ellison there, just holding on to the tail end of the lead pack.
Want to give updates to drivers further on back in the field as we keep our cameras up front. Going to be that of Mark Morales Jr. That of Mark Morales. I don't know. They're going to be back in 34th position. Going to be also seeing that of James Kaufman, who was 13 laps down. He was in pit road for almost out of 10 minutes. He is going to be back out on track, but again, 13 laps down. Then Bob Skinner going to be 2 laps down as we go back to that group that we were just watching, because that is a cluster of drivers that you never know if there's going to be a caution or not going to be breeding from these groups in the middle of the pack, especially when you start to see a gaggle of drivers being stacked up side by side. Just one little mistake could be costly for the majority of this field.
That's all it takes. One little slip up, hit the bumps. There's some really big bumps down in turns 1 and 2. You hit those wrong with the car on your outside, send them for a spin. You never know, but looks like we got Tyler Dangler here on the inside of the 88. He's looking to move back up through the field.
Trying to move up the best that he can and heading along at the moment for these drivers, but you just see the train with the field being over 30 drivers. 34 was the total that started this race, and having just this group certainly starting to feel a little bit of anticipation on how this race was going to start. We didn't know if it was going to be clean for the majority of this run, and it was. So we got to a lap to go at the end of our stage break at the end of lap 40. Didn't make it to that point, made it to only the start of lap 40 before that first yellow came out that counted as our stage break. And now for these drivers, it's all about running it to the end. And Trevor, this is when things get interesting, because now it's about strategizing for fuel and tires and who can make it to the end. As up front, a little bit of a switch up on who's going to be in 2nd place. Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson change it up, as that is Zach Hall still leading for now.
It looks like the clean air for, we saw it with Brandon Colley, we're seeing it now with Zachary Hall. The clean air when you're up front is pretty nice to have. It makes it really hard for the guys in 2nd to get around you. As we saw Brian Johnson try to do it, he couldn't do it, so now Vincent Sora's going to go up there and see what he can do.
Trying to figure out how to maximize their speed and their run as Brandon Colley ducks it down low, but with the straightaways not being in line with everyone else, the draft assisting everyone else. And here comes now that of Aaron Smith to the outside. It's on a great run for the 70 machine, and the rest of the field, Cedric Hunter, Dunning, and others, they're now attached, and they're closing in on this lead group now.
Yeah, this battling here has allowed, looks like maybe our top 10 to all close up on this. This could get really interesting, especially as this run gets later and these tires start to get worn. Seeing some of these guys like Cedric Hunter, who might have saved a little bit more at the beginning of the run, and seeing what they can do when they get up here to these guys.
So here comes the 77, red, white, and blue. That is actually going to be Gabriel Ellison, who is trying to make this pass. And then Cedric Hunter going to be trying to follow suit. And then you find the other true 77, Justin Lewis, back in 10th place. Trying to figure out how to get a little bit of a wider shot for these drivers. All the different lanes that can be utilized. But I think what's so interesting here, Trevor, is the fact that the majority of the runs is stay low as low as possible through the corners, until we get those 20, 30, sometimes even 40 lap old tires, and we start to see that true transition hit.
Yeah, it seems like later in the run, we see these guys move up. You can run pretty much all three lanes here at Vegas. You can run all the way up at the wall, the middle, the bottom. But it looks like, as you said, when we get on these older tires, it looks like everybody starts to want to migrate up to that top lane so you can keep the momentum up in the car and get those real good runs off the corner.
Trying to pick and choose, and there's multiple side-by-side battles that are going on. That of Brandon Colley faltering backwards for himself with Dunning, as well as going to be having that of Lewis. And then further up ahead, going to be seen center Hunter Smith almost making contact as the 70 drifts up. Hold on for now as our top, that of basically third on back, keeping it close with one another. Small little gap starting to build for our front two that are trying to pull away as best as possible. But speaking of gaps, the gap for the lead starting to shrink just minimal here each and every lap that goes on by. Vincent might have found a little bit of extra speed, but I'm curious on Aaron Smith. He was flying at the end of coming up to the end of our stage. Did he overuse his tires? That's the first question I've got, because he was very aggressive on this most previous restart.
It'd be interesting to see. Aaron's one of those guys that I have my eye on for this race. He looked really good at the end of that long run there for the stage. So we'll see if he was able to keep some tires on it, after being aggressive there at the beginning, to see what he can do as this fuel run goes on. We were only expecting maybe 45, 48 laps of, that these guys can go on gas for a fuel run. So it'll be interesting to see how he does.
How is he going to survive? How is he going to make it to the end? But you're watching this group. We drop back to that of 13th, but also right in front of Brad Delph as Delph's in 13th position. Want to talk about that of the 98. Michael Yarrow did not qualify, and right now the highest mover of the drivers that did not qualify, up 21 positions, and currently in 11th place, diving it down low, going to be cracking the top 10 here is Michael Yarrow, and now into the mix of this group. Driver we've seen in another series, and when the next Gen 7 Cup car came out, Michael Yarrow, another series that we covered, was pretty much a driver to watch out for each and every week. Now on the path that we're starting to see a little bit more wear on the tires. Yarrow had to change up his driving style last season. Really wasn't a threat for that many good finishes, but I gotta say, over the offseason, Yarrow is looking mighty fine for the way that he climbed through this field.
Yeah, that 98 car is looking fast. Like you said, didn't qualify. He's moved up, 22 positions from where he started into the top 10. If he keeps this pace up, he might have something for these guys at the end.
Certainly is hoping to find a little bit of extra. And speaking of a driver having issues, with this driver that had the biggest issues did not bring out a yellow, but Kyle Rochelle going to be back at 31st position. Driver that really wanted to see a yellow when he spun out earlier in this run. Didn't happen. Contact for that at the 22nd position. 38 of Christopher Norris. 17 Monster Energy Machine, that of Chad Wilkes, as well as James Vining in the 33. Going to be on top of one another. One of the things that we love about some of these drivers and leagues that we cover, Trevor, back half of the field, even if it feels like they're racing for nothing, every position matters for these groups of drivers. They're willing to beat and bang, even if it's back here for 20th.
These guys are aggressive. They like to race hard, and having been in the back of this field, a couple races last season, it's tough. It's hard to get by these guys. They race you like they're racing for the win, and you love to see it, but you gotta also be smart at the same time, because we've seen it in leagues where most of the wrecks happen back for 25th, 26th, but these guys have been doing a good job being aggressive and keeping it clean at the same time.
Well, as these drivers are closing in on halfway, it's going to give us the time to talk about some of our sponsors that we have here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Starting things off with iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag is that of a flag virtual system, an iFlag virtual system, excuse me. It provides you great quality, and also in the fact that gives you clear, concise information on what the flag state is on track. As well, for that of iRacing iFlag, they've got themselves a digital pit board, many other features to give you assistances while you're racing. Go get yourself an iRacing iFlag at iracingiflag.com. Go use our promo code, that of FreakyFast2022, to go get yourself a discount. As well, want to give a shout out to AdminBox, who as well was that of the sponsor here for that of the WSSR Roasted Gem Coffee's Cup Series stage break sponsor. They were a team that gives you great information, a button box that you can implement to push, bring out yellows if needed, or even make adjustments on the fly. Thank you to Adam and Box. Go use our promo code that of FFB/BOXX. Get yourself a percentage off on your purchase at Admin Box. As the drivers up front, they're going to be putting themselves into a gaggle position. This is looking pretty interesting to see for that a third on back. That Brian Johnson seems like he is kind of being the shepherd of holding up the field.
Yeah, they were 2x2 there for a couple laps with Johnson and Sinchek and Cedric Hunter and Aaron Smith there, and you get the lap car with Martin Morales, who's back on track after some repairs. I think he's on some fresher tires, which is kind of throwing these guys for a loop as they try to battle it out for third on back.
It's on slightly fresher tires with the damage. Obviously, it's going to be Henry in the 91, but then given a factor on how they're going to be attacking. Real scare, though, in the middle of this group. The pink and yellow machines, that of Cedric Hunter in the pink Hello Kitty, and also the yellow going to be that of Aaron Smith. Making a little bit of contact, and over the radio was that of Cedric Hunter. Really scary, and just saying, whoa, whoa, thought he was going to be spun around, or at least spinning the 70, but they hold on. But this group, they get frisky in one moment, they get patient another. Right now, side by side is between the 77 machines. Going to be actually the 7 of that of Ellison and the 77 of Lewis, but they're the ones that have been pressuring the most back here for 8th place.
And right in front of them, Brandon Colley, he dominated the first 40 laps of this race, and ever since he lost those positions at the start of the race, just hasn't been able to make it up, and get back up to the front. So I don't know if it's the dirty air back here, and he just doesn't like the way the car feels, or what's going on with the one car.
And just like that, in a blink of an eye, Zach Hall, mistake out of turn number 4. Vincent Sora taking the lead. A power move on the outside. And now going to be seeing the 15, our season 4 winner, driver that won this race last season. Vincent Sora wants to win back once again and find his luck here at Vegas for that of the WSSR merch store 225. Sora back where he feels the most comfortable leading this race.
Back out there in that clean air, and he was running down Zachary Hall little by little, so it'll be interesting to see if Zach's got anything to challenge back at the 15, or is the 15, now that he's in the clean air, just going to be able to drive away from the field?
He's going to do his best, as right now Vincent Sora going to be finding himself and Zach Hall about a second and a half ahead of third place, where drivers continue to change out their positioning, as now it's Cedric Hunter getting by Brian Johnson. Here comes Tom Sinchek, Aaron Smith, the other drivers, third place, a revolving door at this point.
This has been a great battle to watch between these guys, and looks like Brian might have used up his tires a little bit more and kind of holding everybody up, but he's running that outside line, and that's he's getting those good runs off of 1 and 2, or off of turn 2 and off of turn 4 down these straightaways, so it's keeping him up there and kind of holding everybody up behind him.
What a blanket over these 5 drivers. It is certainly close, and they are going to have to be careful. Old tires, we've seen a lot of slipping and sliding. This was around the time that we saw stint-wise a length of time that they were on these tires when we had our first yellow come out. It was much deeper in the field, but certainly drivers are starting to feel a little bit of, I can get a little bit more. But now, here's the thing, Trevor, fuel might be an issue for these drivers the more they keep on driving.
Yeah, green flag pit stops are going to be right around the corner for these guys, and the key for that is just get on pit road cleanly and get off of it as quickly as you can without getting a speeding penalty, sliding through your box, especially if you're up here in these top 6-10 positions. You're on top of one another, so if you can maximize pit entry and pit exit, you might be able to jump a couple spots on some guys that might have some issues.
And do you want to come into pit road? Is going to be the key. We're 41 laps into the stint. That's about halfway from when they cut halfway from the last time they came into pit road to when they started the race. And certainly the drivers starting to feel when they want to come in. Will it be lap 100? Can they make it to that point, or will they have to pit on that of lap 95? Going to be big questions for the drivers, because if they make it to lap 1, that of 95 for themselves, 95 would be splitting this second half of the race in half. But as well, drivers might think about coming into pit road sooner, as they've only been running a little bit of that, about almost 2 seconds off of what their fastest time has been all night long.
Yeah, tire fall off, 2 second fall off between their fastest laps and what they're running now. I think what you're going to see happen is if, one of these guys in the top 10 decides to pit early, it might bring everybody else down pit road because, as we were seeing here with the 91, even though Martin has damage on that car with those fresher tires, he's been able to keep up with our leaders. And so that might be something to look out for if somebody decides to short pit this and get on those fresher tires early.
As for a lot of the drivers, I love the idea of thinking about, oh boy, though issues though. Gonna be Brandon Colley in the one, gonna have to get himself out of trouble. Got very loose out of the corner of turn 2, which now gives an opening for Smith. That ascent check. Here comes Lewis potentially out of the corner. But this one did not look comfortable. Luckily didn't get into the inside wall. Didn't lose too many positions, but certainly a scare out of turn 2.
Maybe a little bit too much heat in that right rear tire, and so when you come out of the corner with some wheel in it, it gets a little bit sideways on you. Then we've seen it some other tracks like Charlotte, seen that happen to a couple guys, and not too far behind him, the 81 Stimpian almost did the same thing coming out of turn 4 on that same exact lap. So maybe something to look into as they continue on here before pit stops, is if that right rear is going away, chance that somebody might spin it around by themselves.
The longest run of the day for these drivers, and they're keeping it close. That of Colley going to be in 6th place, but for that of Tom Senchek going to be faltering back, pressured. Watch out, Lewis. He gets really out of the gas. Didn't feel comfortable for the 77. Drops him back to battling with that of Ellison, as well as seeing Dunning, Stimpian, Yarrow, Delph, all in this group of our top 13. But now for a lot of these drivers up front in this first half, not expecting them to be the first drivers to hit pit road. We have had 2 drivers, that being Art Greco, but that was because of heavily damaged 72 machine, as well as Carl Pooler that was just overburning those tires. Rest of the field, they're still questioning on when their pit stops are going to be. But right now, 77, this is going to be Justin Lewis doing his best to hold off Dunning.
Yeah, look, Lewis with a dive here to the inside, held up a little bit by Ellison there in the middle of the corner. That's going to allow Dunning just to get that run and keep that momentum on the outside.
Oh, he snapped loose there in the center of the old coming across the line. That is the worst place to see that 77 get loose. Luckily did not get into that of Brad Delph, nor did get into Yarrow, but Justin Lewis in the 77, I think if anything, that is a clear indication pit road is going to be the safe place to go.
That was a good save on his part. Good job keeping it keeping it off of everybody. And yeah, after that kind of moment, you got to be thinking, is it time for these guys to, start thinking about fresh tires and coming down pit road?
And they're thinking about it. I know a lot of these drivers are trying to split this stint in half, as well as some other drivers that are going to be finding themselves into pit road. Going to be that of James Vining having to come into pit road, but certainly a decent run for themselves as Carl Pooler running back here in the back half of the field, and one of the drivers that has come into pit road already is with our driver cam. Check out this of Carl Pooler and get a sense on how comfortable he's feeling with fresh tires as he's trying to catch up to that of Kyle Rochelle, that is currently the first driver a lap down.
Carl on those fresh tires, we're going to see him kind of fly up through these guys that haven't pit yet. And you see what fresh tires does, especially on the wheel cam. Just nice steady inputs, not having to turn back right to catch the car if it gets loose out of the corner. So see what the difference in lap times here is between that 71 and some of these guys on older tires.
You got to see him getting by that James Kaufman, who is damaged, as well as got to see getting past the 20 of Zimmerman, and Zimmerman actually going to be going into pit road for the 20 machine. A couple of other drivers thinking about coming into pit road. Lap 95 is the window, and they're expecting pit stops to strike as Carl Pooler continues to race on and move up to that of Vincent Sora, currently running right now. Trevor, this field certainly in an interesting spot. Kyle Rochelle ducking it into pit road for the 21. So he'll go another lap down, which is going to be gifting Zimmerman or that Carl Pooler, they're positioning back to be that first car lap down as side by side. Steven Stimpy and Tom Sinchek. Sinchek, that when he's been pushed to the outside look here, Trevor, he's been losing too much ground. Yes, he gets these great runs, but the entry to center off is where it seems like the 8 just cannot get that speed that he's loving.
Yeah, it's been weird to see from Tom. When he's been on the bottom, he's been real quick, but it doesn't seem like he's real comfortable running that top side. I mean, like you said, he gets those really good runs, but center of the corner, he loses a little bit of time there. So Stimpy in here looking to the inside, he gets a little bit of a run off of him, and they're going to side draft each other as they head down the backstretch.
Trying to give as much help is going to be Brad Delph, just in the center of both drivers, giving some draft assistance to both instead of trying to just pick and choose who he wants to work with. But he's got to be careful for the 14 on continuing to do this strategy, because he's going to be having that Justin Lewis, that of Michael Yarrow, and as well going to be seeing that of Dunning trying to close in the gap the best that they can. As 94 laps in, we're closing into what the area I'm expecting drivers coming to pit road and make their stop. But we do officially have our first DNF of the season. Art Greco has called it a night for the 72.
Yeah, a little bit too much damage to get that car fixed, and unfortunately for Art, not the finish that he probably wanted for the first race of the season, but luckily there's a lot more to go, and hopefully he can get some better results moving forward through the season.
Christopher Norris going to be coming in pit road for 38. He's had a very adventurous day so far, getting bounced up in the outside wall, bouncing off other drivers, just close runs all around. But so far, just trying to survive. I think it's the good goal for that 38. Move back up to our top 5 runners. This is where we find that of Aaron Smith getting by Brian Johnson, now trying to set his sights on the one of Brandon Colley, which Colley dominated stage 1. Right now, stage 2 got stuck in traffic, has not been able to get inside of our top 3 all night long. And I think that's been one of the biggest surprises, is that Brandon Colley looked so dominant up front, but I kind of think with the way Colley was running, proving that fact that fresh air is so dominant, but Vincent Sora proving if you just have raw speed, you can make a pass on the driver that's leading this race.
And Vincent Sora's got out to about a 1-second gap there over Zachary Hall, but Cedric Hunter slowly but surely has been closing in on Zachary Hall and the leader, Vincent Sora, the later this run has gone on. So maybe something to look out for, that pink Hello Kitty number 13, after these green flag pit stops, if he can stay within that, 1 second, 1.5 second gap later on toward the end of this race, he might be somebody to look out for.
Brian Johnson hitting pit road. That of Jeremy Little going to be hitting pit road this go around, and Brian Johnson going to be the first driver inside of our top 15 to come into pit road under his own accord. This is going to be an interesting call to see if hitting this early is the right move, especially with the tire drop-off that we've been noticing. Michael Yarrow into pit road for himself. Going to be seeing other drivers side by side battling with one another, but certainly for Cedric Hunter, he's hoping for a good run. But for our drivers that are up inside of our top 8, they certainly have hit a roadblock. 7th, 8th, 9th. They've got some lap traffic that's sliding their way through. Here comes that of Jamison, and as well Cal Rochelle, as drivers to making the hard decision in pit road. It's the 7 of that of Ellison going to be hitting pit road right in front of this group.
It's always a nervous time as a driver when you're on older tires and these guys who are on fresh tires come flying up through you, especially if you're battling with somebody else. It kind of makes you a little bit nervous because the closing rate, especially on new tires, is a whole lot quicker than you anticipate it being sometimes.
Well, as these drivers going to be seeing a major difference, those that are on fresh tires, those that are on new ones, means that we're going to be in a high possibility of a yellow, and that's where we're going to throw the question down to you viewers down in the chat. Put in your thoughts. Do you think we're done with yellows, or could we see one in the middle of this green flag pit stop, as Tom Sinchek going to be hitting pit road for himself? You want to make sure that you do not get caught with a penalty and get caught speeding, and that's going to be another factor for these drivers. Green flag pit stops, this is the first of the whole entire race for some of these drivers to come in. How difficult is it trying to get into pit road?
It can be difficult, especially with these cars, because they like to stop, and at the same time they don't like to stop. It's really easy to lock the brakes up, not get it loaded up in time, and the transition here at Vegas for pit road can be a little bit tricky from time to time. So you know, it's you just got to get on and get off as quick as you can without getting that speeding penalty. That's the key.
And there's Chuck Sweeting going to be high for the 75, a driver that we expected kind of to run well here this evening, but decided not to qualify, and he's been kind of stuck in that of the back half of the field. But now in the chat, we do have our question: will there be one more yellow or not? As more drivers trickling into pit road. James Hackworth Jr., Aaron Smith the second, as well as going to be seen that a Lewis, Dangler, Light. Here comes Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora now hitting pit road, as well as many others. And it's now going to be seen our ticker board. It's going to be dancing all around on who's going to be in pit road. But we do know top 7 drivers still need to come in, as well as a few other drivers that are slacking behind.
Issues for Rich Jameson as he came onto pit road. Didn't quite see who got into the back of him, but somebody got into him, spun him into the grass as he was coming down pit road to make his stop. So it's one of those mistakes that you don't want to see, especially in green flag pit stops.
With green flag pit stops so far, everyone doing their best as Rich Jameson into pit road. Again, we still wait for our top out of 8, are going to be those drivers that still need to come into pit road. Carl Pooler going to be in a spot where he potentially has to come back into pit road, but we are in the final stages as you see the mixture. Drivers with fresh tires, those with new, but Zach Hall now into pit road as they continue to race on. Brandon Colley back to the lead, but for how long? These drivers have been out on this track for 63 laps on these tires and fuel. Wear and tear is certainly starting to show for these drivers.
And the longer you stay out compared to these guys on newer tires, the more time I think you're going to end up losing to them, as they're going to be running, you know, a second and a half to 2 seconds quicker than you as Colley brings it down pit road.
Brandon Colley into pit road. Here comes that Dunning. Dunning's a little bit wide, but able to get at least arching it back down. Brad Delph was in a tricky situation between himself and a couple of other drivers behind. That's going to be Morales that's pressuring the 14. Tom Sinchak going to be out in the back of the 14. These are drivers with fresh tires compared to the driver that still needs to come to pit road. And for Morales, this is such a tricky spot to be, but he has to go high as the 14 is trying to defend coming to pit road.
Yeah, as Delph brings it down pit road, and Martin there got caught out a little bit by the closing speed, almost right over the back of our leader, but managed to move to the outside and get around him as Delph brings it down pit road along with the Monster Energy 17 of Chad Wilkes.
And now with all the drivers cycling their way through, Brian Johnson should become our leader as Kyle Rochelle trying to take one of his laps back. But it's Brad Delph, Wilkes both hitting pit road. And now our leader is back to that of Brian Johnson. And Trevor, we certainly are going to have a lot more questions to go, but we are in our final third of this race. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to take you to the end here at Las Vegas. Thank you for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, giving you coverage of the start of Season 5 of the WSSR Roasted Gems Coffee Cup Series. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back in just a few moments. You won't miss a thing. We'll still be side by side.
have no rear grip whatsoever. I'm sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man. Do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as we're giving you coverage Saturday night with the WSSR Roasted Gems Coffee Cup Series. This is the first race of Season 5, and my name is Sam Dyer. With me is that of Trevor Earhart, as well as Robert Warrior Jr. running productions in the background. We have had one caution so far this evening. It was right before our stage break, so it counted as our stage break. And so these drivers have decided to go clean green since then. We've just got finished with what should be our one and only stop of the night. And right now it's Brian Johnson leading, but for how long? Because Vincent Sora is right there, as well as Aaron Smith, the second, and Cedric Hunter. Everyone's starting to close back in. And Trevor, yeah, we gave him space when they came into pit road, but all the different strategies are showing up front.
Yeah, especially right now, Brian Johnson's on 5-lap older tires, and pretty much, you know, the other top 5 cars, and Vincent Sora's been able to run him down from about 4 seconds back over these last couple of laps. So, you know, maybe Brian's taking it a little bit easy, trying to keep some life in these tires to maybe battle Vincent, but sure looks like Vincent's got the speed here as they head down the backstretch.
That he certainly does. Also want to give our last couple of shout outs to our sponsors before we get things really intense. Do want to give a big thanks to ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. They are the Rookie of the Year sponsor. So whoever wins the Rookie of the Year, they'll be winning that of a Gamer 2 unit, which is a unit that you attach to your racing rig, your chair, and it allows you to feel the sounds, not just hear them. Instead of just hearing the V8 engines or hearing the squeaking of the tires or hearing your tires lock up while racing here on iRacing, feel the vibrations so that you get a little bit more immersed and can help you out on your racing experience. Go use our promo code FreakyFast20 for 20% off. That's Freaky with 2 E's, FreakyFast20 for 20% off. Thank you to ButtKicker as the pass for the lead is on. Vincent Sora to the inside, and Brian Johnson, the sitting duck, as the 15 blows on by.
Vincent there with those fresher tires, just able to keep that car glued to the bottom, get the better run off the corner. And right behind them, here comes Aaron Smith, Cedric Hunter, and Zachary Hall's closed in on these top 4 as well. So, you know, add another one to the picture for the battle for the lead.
Vincent Sora taking the lead, raised all those juice boxes because the kid is up front. He won the championship last season. And for Vincent Sora, he wants to go for another championship, another win. Comes in as, after just one season, the 4th most winningest driver of WSSR's history, and he's trying to beat out the driver that has the most wins, that of Brian Johnson, that on those older tires went for the risky call, and now under pressure from this season's rookie of Aaron Smith II. But looking at the tire advantage, it's Zach Hall who actually has it based off our top 5. It's going to be that of the freshest of tires. He pitted 16 laps ago compared to pitting 23 laps ago for Brian Johnson, but for the 42, he might have to get aggressive here, burn up a little bit of that rubber if he wants to get by and take this 2 for 1.
Yeah, take advantage of those fresher tires, and you don't want to let Vincent Sora get away from you. You know, with that advantage of the clean air, you don't want to let him just drive away. So, you know, we're seeing it here with Zachary Hall just being aggressive, seeing what he can do as he's already cleared the 70 of Aaron Smith, and he goes to work here on the 28 of Brian Johnson.
Aaron Smith also going to be that of Cedric Hunter getting the mix, and Hunter is going to be at the 2nd freshest tires, tied with that of Vincent Sora. Both those with second freshest tires. It's then Zach Hall making this pass cleanly, and now it's on. Next driver in front of him is our leader, Vincent Sora, and when they were on equal footing, it was Vincent Sora able to make the pass cleanly. But now 30 laps coming to 29 laps to go here at that of the WSSR merch store. 225. It's on. Who is gonna have the fresher tires? It's Cedric. It's gonna be that of Zach Hall, then Cedric Hunter and Vincent Sora. Ryan Johnson's got the oldest tires of our drivers up front, and then you've got Aaron Smith, who's backing off. And I'm curious on the 70s point of view here on if this is a good strategy call for the driver, recognizing there's still a lot of racing left here at Las Vegas.
It could be just backing off to save a little bit of that tire. He's on pretty much the same strategy as Vincent Sora and Cedric Hunter created one lap earlier, so maybe just trying to keep a little bit extra there for later on in the run as he battles Brian Johnson here out of turn 2.
That's Super James Kaufman in the 25, who has fresh tires as well, but heavily damaged, is the 25 that's running behind these drivers, as well as for Kaufman, going to be 15 laps down. Not expecting the 25 to get too aggressive here, and as I say that though, Kaufman gonna get mixy here with our lead pack drivers, and contact gonna be made with Aaron Smith.
Not something you want to do as a car that's multiple laps down, but on those fresher tires, you know, you can't really blame him. He's got so much more speed than these guys, but you just gotta be smart about it. Oh, contact there with the 28 of Brian Johnson.
Kaufman wiping out Brian Johnson right into the inside wall and taking out and making contact with two of the competitors inside of the top that of 5. And now the question is for Kaufman, who else will he make contact for, as they're going to be making the pass, getting by that of the 89. And now the question is for Kaufman, does he just sit back and relax now, or does he get aggressive as Brian Johnson, heavily damaged and forced to come into pit road?
Yeah, unfortunate there for Brian Johnson. And if you're these top 3 and you just saw what happened, you are definitely going to be looking out here as Kaufman comes up, you know, on these guys with these fresher tires. You're going to keep that in the back of your mind.
Here he comes. Here we go. Side by side with Cedric Hunter. Kaufman already has made contact with 2 of our top 5 contenders and going to be side by side with the 3rd. And Cedric Hunter has to be feeling uneasy here and lets him go. Kaufman going to make the pass on the 13, but it's Zach Hall that's going to be side by side for a quick moment. They're going to be now in line, but Kaufman decided, does he go low? Does he go high? He's got fresh tires, but being 15 laps down, it's kind of a head-scratching moment to see from a lap-down driver who's trying to be aggressive to try to utilize the tires to the fullest potential, but he's racing for nothing at the moment. Is Kaufman, as let's go 3 wide with 2 lap drivers, and now it's going to be that of James Vining who's going to be in the mix with fresh tires, mixing it up with our leaders.
Yeah, Vining there on fresh tires as well, and as these leaders, it just makes you nervous, you know, seeing these lap cars being this aggressive with you this late into the run, especially when you're, you know, battling essentially for a win. But man, so far, apart from the couple of contacts there with Aaron Smith and Johnson, they've been able to get through each other, but something we got to keep an eye on as this race continues.
Kaufman, now here comes Aaron Smith, going to be trying to make the pass. Yellow flag strikes. Issue's going to happen right in front of our leaders. It's Christopher Norris that's going to be up on the wall, and the drivers have to scatter around the 38, and this changes everything.
Oh, this is going to bunch everybody back up. Everybody's going to come down, be on the same set of tires now. Or do you make a bold pit strategy here with 20, essentially what's going to be 20 to go? This, like you said, this is going to change everything. This is going to get really interesting here at the end of this race.
It's going to be putting us around that of 17 laps to go to round 18. And it's Christopher Norris as well as Bob Skinner. Skinner's been having issues with drivers around him and bumped by the 38. And oh boy, that absolute shattering that front right tire and the front bumper. And luckily for Christopher Norris, who's been really, it's been a pleasure here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting to watch the development and growth of this driver. You hate to see that type of a wreck for the 38, but the knowledge, just lock that car down and let the other drivers race their own way by as Kaufman gets the scrape, but then everyone else easily able to get on by.
Yeah, great job there by Christopher, you know, keeping it locked down, keeping it in one spot, a predictable spot for the leaders to get by him. And just a little bit of contact there and a little bit loose and maybe a little bit of an overcorrection from the 38. These cars can be so twitchy when you get sideways, but you know, for Norris, not the way he wanted to start his season, I know, but you know, on to next week and take what you learn from here and go on to next week as we got pit stops happening.
Pit stops are underway, and now it's going to be seen that Vincent Sora into pit road, and everyone that's on the lead lap going to be coming into pit road. But for the drivers such as Brian Johnson and others, they can take a wave around because all the drivers are on the lead lap deciding to come into pit road. It enables those drivers of Kyle Rochelle, Brian Johnson, James Hackworth Jr., Carl Pooler, and James Vining are now able to take a wave around that would put them back into that of the drivers being back at the end of this green flag. I mean, excuse me, stumbling over my words, but it allows them to be at the end of the line, but at least on the lead lap, as these drivers, they certainly were some hoping for the yellows, others weren't. And for the chat, you were correct. 77% thought there was going to be at least one more yellow coming up. 22% said no, and got to say, that yellow, I think, for us in the booth was also predictable to see coming up shortly.
Yeah, you never want to see it, but you kind of got the feeling, especially with how aggressive some of these lap cars were being, that we might see something. And, you know, I don't think that that's going to be our last caution. You're going to have everybody stacked on top of each other here on fresh tires, and we've seen how aggressive, especially our top 10 have been when they're bunched up. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if we don't see another caution or two before this race is over.
But I think another question that could be thrown out, do you think that this is the last time that we're expecting drivers that are on the lead lap that just came into pit road, is this their last time coming into pit road to get service done, or do you think that they potentially could come in another time later on if we get more yellows?
I think it's going to depend on how many laps they run before there's a caution. If we run 4 or 5 laps and then get a caution, I don't think you're going to see these guys back down pit road. But if we run 10 laps or so and there's a late caution, you might see some of these guys take a chance to come down and get fresh tires, or maybe just 2 tires and see what happens for them.
The reason I throw that question out, these drivers that are just got done with their service, they're about to get stacked up and ready to go racing, as it's now 20 laps to go. The majority of the drivers have 1 set of tires left in pit road. Do you use that set at all, or do you just leave it in pit road? Is track position more important than having a good set of tires underneath you? Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall, Brandon Colley, that of Aaron Smith II, as well as that of Michael Yarrow, Gabriel Ellison, Tom Senchak, Justin Lewis, and Steven Stimpian going to be your drivers in the top 10 on this restart. And a big thanks again to all of our amazing sponsors. Got to talk about ButtKicker being the Rookie of the Year sponsor. We also got to talk about that of the admin box, and also got to talk about the iRacing iFlag. Well, you need something to attach it all to, and that's where you go to advancedsimracing.com. It's practically the best place to go to get yourself started on getting a racing chassis, also just getting your racing rig started. It's got its chassis, which is the main stand that you purchase. Then you get your monitor stand that you also can purchase at Advanced Sim Racing. It's got wheels also, and some of the best attachments to be added to your sim rig. And if you go to advancedsimracing.com and go use our promo code FreakyFast5, that is all in lettering. It's not the number 5. You have to actually write out 5 with that of Freaky Fast with it. That's Freaky with 2 E's. Freaky Fast 5. Get yourself 5% off at Advanced Sim Racing. Drivers stacked up. We're ready to go racing here. Will this be the last yellow? What do you think of the booth? Probably not. For the drivers on there on track, for some, they hope it isn't. For others, such as Brian Johnson, they hope maybe there's another caution that allows them to get a second breath there for them to go for a run up front. But it's time to see how the drivers for their first race of Season 5 will conclude for the WSSR Roasted Gems Coffee Cup Series Saturday nights. It's been a while since we got to see these drivers run. They were clean for the majority of this race. We've only had 2 cautions. And now it's time to see how amazing the end of the race will be. But will they do so? There's already a driver low, slow, further on back, but up front, we're green. Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter. Let's go 2, 3 wide through turns 1 and oh no! They're wrecking through turns 1 and 2. Center of the field, and it's pandemonium. It's going to be that of Tyler Dangler, Alex Light, Kyle Rochelle, all slow and heavily damaged.
Just, you know, kind of like we were talking about, just everybody stacked on top of each other, something happened, and here we go with a quick caution.
The big thing to watch out for is going to be that of Christopher Howell is going to be the driver that tried to make a heavy aggressive move, get underneath Tyler Dangler, which then was the catalyst to seeing that of the 19 thrown up into the field. Alex Light, an innocent victim, most of the field. Certainly a wreck that we were not expecting to see. Tyler Dangler was just trying to defend his position there, Trevor. And, you know, on the restarts, those aggressive moves, trying to dive bomb below someone else, sometimes it sticks. Most of the time, we get wrecks like that.
Yeah, just being aggressive and trying to make up as many spots as you can. And sometimes it's, especially late in a race, you're going to have that. Hate to see it. Took out, you know, some guys that were having pretty good runs there in the top 15. I know, Light and Dangler were up there in the top 15 pretty much all night, and hate to see it for those guys, but you know, you got to expect moves like that, especially this late in a race.
You really do. When, you know, I talked about how, you know, some of these drivers that might be wanting those types of yellows to come out, while Brian Johnson able to take 2 easy positions, but it means it's going to be a cost of at least 4 to 5 laps of us pacing now under our 3rd caution of the day. And adding to the pile of drivers with required damage, got that of Christopher Fail, James Kaufman. On the restart, there was a driver that wheel spun and had a major collision to the outside wall by himself that did not bring out the initial yellow. That was Rich Jamison in the 86, as well as Christopher Norris going to be having required damage, and drivers that have officially called it a night. Going to be that of Art Gricko, and driver that has that required damage of Christopher Fail. Both have officially left the server and are done for the night.
Be really interested here on this restart, Sam. I've seen it twice now where the outside line just has not been able to get going and has dropped back a couple positions. And I don't know if that's because of the new restart zone rule and having to maintain pace speed. But, you know, Vincent jumped out to a pretty good gap there before Cedric, you know, was pretty much up to speed.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is going to be a lot of talking points. And, you know, with us pacing, with us kind of seeing the wreck develop the way that it is, I'd say why not? We'll bring up one of the drivers, get their point of view. And speaking of the driver that's been up front, going to test it out, that restart zone, let's get a thoughts in from that of the 15 of Vincent Sora potentially here as Season 4 champion, bringing up the 15 up in the booth. Vinny, it's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I hear you guys.
Well, you get to restart up front. Got a quick yellow there on that last restart. We're coming up to 15 laps to go. It's going to be less when we go restarting here. But Vinny, how are you feeling being the leader right now in this scenario?
I feel pretty good. I think being in the control car is obviously where you want to be. You get a really good launch, and you get usually about 3 to 4 tenths on the cars behind. Unfortunately, the draft is super strong, and I got a field full of teammates behind me, and they're just going to draft back up to me. So I got to be really defensive here. I hated seeing that yellow because I think I had a pretty easy command on it. But I'm liking the yellows now because it just shortens the length that I have to maintain this lead. So I'll take like maybe 1 or 2 yellows, but if it goes green, I think I might be able to still hold these guys off.
Trevor, you got a question?
Vincent, we've seen how important these restarts have been, but also how important has that clean air been? You know, being up front, we've kind of seen it where whoever gets to the lead can kind of just drive away. Has that been a big factor as well?
Oh yeah, the clean air is super important. Staving is a lot more important in these cars now, but clean air will still always be the dominant factor in these races. Because I mean, I was behind Zach and I closed the gap to him in that run on the last one before this yellow, and as soon as I got within about 4 tenths, I just kind of broke even, and he had a couple rough laps, and I was able to get to his outside. But then as soon as I got the clean air, I was set sailing. So yeah, clean air is super important. You just got to maintain it and do what you can.
Well, Vinny, we're getting the 1 to go marker, so we're going to let you get ready for this restart, but good luck for the rest of the night.
All right, thank you, boys.
As that was our Season 4 champion and driver of the 15, Vincent Sora, will got to be leading on this restart. And no, Trevor, I think that was interesting on the fact that Vincent feels so comfortable up front. I mean, that was in the old restart zones that iRacing had before the new ones that they implemented with the actual restart zones themselves. The drivers up front usually did get a great advantage, but certainly feels like Vinny feels even more in command this go around.
Yeah, he seems very comfortable being the leader going into that restart zone, so it'll be interesting to see here with Zach to his outside to see if Zach can get a better start than what Cedric did on that previous restart.
Who is going to survive? Well, let's find out. Will we get another quick yellow that can take out a couple of more drivers? Will we have the big one strike? Time will tell here at Las Vegas for the WSSR merch store 225. Been running that of 137 laps. Going to be starting at 138 on this restart. As the pace car pulls off, it's going to be Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, your front runners. As we get to see who could potentially win here tonight. As we're in the restart zone, we're green. Vincent Sora is gone, and he's already clear. And here comes that of Cedric Hunter to the inside for second.
At Cedric Hunter, Aaron Smith there to the inside of Zach Hall and Brandon Colley. As they head off into turn 2, it looks like Cedric might be able to clear the 42 coming out of 2 going down the backstretch.
They're already going to be the 2-3 wide in the middle of this field, and that's going to be Tom Sinchek going to be trying to stuff his nose to get underneath Michael Yarrow, who's been our biggest mover all night long. But up front, it's going to be that of Vincent Sora, that of Cedric Hunter. Zach Hall stuck in the middle. Colley, Smith, split in the middle, but it's going to be Hall able to find a little bit of movement and space on the outside. But it's going to be that of Vincent Sora for now. But they're jostling, they're packing. It is pandemonium for that of third on back, side by side, and drivers trying to pick and choose where's the best place to be. But Trevor, I would say there really isn't no good place to be.
I don't think that there's a safe spot to be, as we just saw Brandon Colley go all the way to the wall in 3 and 4 the last lap to try to get around there. Oh, it's Aaron Smith with a big wiggle off the bottom of turn 4, saves it. That's going to cost him a lot of spots here in that 70 car.
From battling up for that of third, now going to be back in 9th in the middle of the gaggle, and they're spinning. There's the 17, hard in the outside wall. Dunning's going to be involved with it, but they're still pointing straight, so we stay green, but it's going to be that of Chad Wilkes, who's going to be hard in the outside wall. He'll slowly come down, but the big factor, we stay green, as up front, it's going to be the battling going on for third place. It's going to be that of Brandon Colley as well as Zach Hall, but for the lead, Cedric Hunter. That of Vincent Sora, 15 laps to go, and can Vinny hold on?
Yeah, Cedric had a little bit of a look there that last lap. He's closed the gap down here to Vincent Sora's. We'll see what he's got here as we close in on these last 10 laps. Good run down the backstretch for him. See if he takes a look to the outside here in turn 3.
He's going high, he's arching all over the place. This group that we're watching on screen, yes, it's pandemonium that we're seeing here. This is going to be 4th, 5th, all the way back to where we find Smith in 10th place. But we got to move back up to the lead because we're on nose of Cedric Hunter. Hello, Kitty says hello to Vincent Sora. The kid's got to hold on the outside, but it's that of Cedric Hunter, who's been working and grinding all night long, now with an opportunity to win as Sora does it down low on the exit 2.
Yeah, Sora got the good run there off the top, clears him down the backstretches, back for 5th and 6th. They're still battling hard with Tom Sinchek and the 81 of Stippy in there.
And as we're watching our front 2 rolling around, also got to keep our eyes out on third place runner. That's Brandon Colley, who was really dominating the majority of the first stage, winner of the first stage, and now in third place, last lap, fastest car on track. But can he keep up that pace, trying to run down our leaders? 8 laps to go as our front 2 still in similar positions. Sora, Hunter, Colley, with that as Zach Hall trying to predict where these leaders are going to go. Will they wreck, or will they even have a mess further back in the field as see the gaggle of cars back for the drivers that are around that top 10 position?
Yeah, everybody just fighting for any bit of, clean air, track space that they can get to move up and go forward here in these closing laps. They're beating and banging on each other, but so far being able to keep it clean.
Clean for now, but certainly it's for now. Will it happen, though, in the future as Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter still up front? And the big thing for the 13, seems like he's trying to set up an entry into turn 1 pass. He's going to continue to try to ramp this up, but it's 6 laps to go now. Trevor, Is it too soon to try to make a pass now, or do you feel like you have to make it as soon as possible?
I think at this point you got to go with the run that you get. You know, we've seen these big runs that these guys can get down the back straightaways and on the front stretch, and I think if you get it, you just got to go and see what you can do with it.
And certainly right now, these drivers are trying to utilize whatever they've got. And now Zach Hall closing in the gap. Cedric that Brandon Colley closing in the gap. And Cedric Hunter starting to lose touch to our leader. And it's not by much, but you think to how he was side by side multiple laps ago, and now finding himself just trying to get to the back bumper at this point.
Yeah, maybe starting to get a little bit tight there, but, you know, still within the draft range. And Brandon Colley's closed in along with Zachary Hall. So, I mean, we could have, here in these last 4 laps, we could have essentially a 7-car battle for the lead here as everybody's just kind of right on top of each other.
Gabriel Ellison is what we were right on board for a second. Move up to third place runner Brandon Colley. We just get the knowledge that this is going to get frisky up front. Who will get pushed out of the way as Vincent Sora running just a half a groove high, trying not to give any space to the 13, but that's going to be giving out now momentum to the 1 to make the pass for second, as the 13 just wasn't not able to get out of turn 2 as clean as he wanted. But here comes Brandon Colley with the surge through the backstretch, carrying the momentum through 3 and 4 with 3 laps to go. Will it be an opportune pass here into turn 1? Diving it down low is going to be Colley, but he's not to the quarter panel. He's not close enough. He's losing speed. He's faltering back, and this could be holding up everybody now.
Cedric Hunter with a big push to the back of the 1. That's going to give him a lot of speed down here into 3 and 4 as he looks to the inside of the 15. Not going to go. Oh, contact.
Some contact holds on for now. It's Vincent Sora. Colley's going to be able to hold on. 3 wide, 2 wide. They continue to race for the lead. 2 laps to go, and it's going to be Cedric Hunter by your nose. Vincent Sora from the lead back to 5th. Here comes Steven Stippian. Here comes other drivers in the mix. Tom Sidchek, but Zach Hall as well as Colley. But it's Cedric Hunter. Hello, Kitty, but hello to the 77. That's going to be the 7 machine of Ellison now going to be outside.
Ellison was back in 7th a couple laps ago and up here battling for the lead. As we come to what's going to be the white flag here, Cedric Hunter's going to lead him back to the white, but 3 wide here for second place.
It's your freaky fast white flag, almost 4 wide coming across the line for second place. Colley's going to be stuffed in the middle, getting a huge push by the 15. He'll get pushed out of the way. Vincent Sora's win is not completely over. He's able to clear from 5th up to second place, but the gap is 2 tenths. It might be too far back. Cedric Hunter trying to get a win here to start out season number 5. Diving it down low, hoping for a good run. It's going to be Vincent Sora. They're stacking behind. They're not wrecking. As there they go, it's the 8, but it's Cedric Hunter surviving, and it's the bump to get it done.
They reckon to turn 1, but yeah, the bump from Brandon Colley to Vincent Sora got him just loose enough that it allowed Cedric Hunter to drive by on the outside and just drive away. And man, Vincent gave it everything he had coming back through that field on that last lap. Almost got back to him, but what a race that was. What a final 2 laps that was.
I mean, the assistance you got to think of, the push by Cedric Hunter that gave the 1 the ability to get the huge push into Vincent Sora. Big kudos to that of Colley and Vincent Sora to keep those cars pointing straight. But the driver that is gifted the win keeps his nose out of trouble and was one of our biggest movers of the day. Cedric Hunter gets the win to start out season number 5, race number 1. And what a way to start out that of the WSSR Roasted Gems Coffee Cup Series. It's Cedric Hunter winning it and getting to burn it down here tonight. Man, what a pleasure to be watching these drivers racing for 150 laps. And as the 13 gets to burn it down, we'll step aside. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3. We'll talk about the bump with the 1 of Brandon Colley. We'll talk to the driver that got moved out of the way of Vincent Sora and the driver that got gifted the win, Cedric Hunter, as he drives around for the Polish lap. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Freaky Fast Broadcasting post-race show. As what a finale here at that Las Vegas for the WSSR merch store 225 at Las Vegas. It was spectacular. It was amazing. And we've got our top three. We're going to start things off with third place runner, that of Brandon Colley, because this is the driver that initiated the drama that most likely would not have happened last season. But after some talking points over the offseason, said let's get our elbows out and get a little bit more racy. Brandon Colley's up in the booth with us. Congratulations, Brandon, on third place finish. But man, talk about those final couple of laps and what was going through your mind of trying to go for that win.
Yeah, man, it was pretty hectic. I was trying pretty hard to get up there with those guys. I felt like my tire saving had been pretty decent throughout the race. And Zach helped me a good bit to get up there. Cedric let me by when I caught him after he had to check up, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to help you push, get up there. I'm going to push you." He did, and I sent it off into the corner, trying to keep it close. I didn't figure I'd get very far to his inside, to Benny's inside, and he came down, and I just got a little bit tighter than I anticipated, and I was looking to carry a little bit more speed through the center than Vinny was, and I just got into the back of him. It wasn't intentional, and obviously, as a teammate, I'm not trying to wreck him, but glad he didn't loop it, and he still finished second, plus he gave me a little send going into one that was it was pretty fun.
Brandon, you dominated the first stage there, kind of ran middle of the top 10 through the second half and then got back up there at the end. Was there anything going on through your head there at the, that first green flag run that we had after the stage?
Yeah, man. It was just, how in the hell am I going to overcome this dirty air? Once I got back there, I'd heard about how bad it was during the stage, and luckily I pushed pretty good at the beginning to not deal with it. And once I started to have to deal with it, I was just trying to find space. There were a couple times where guys just dumped their dirty air on me on the exit of a corner, and the nose just pushed. I mean, I almost killed Brian. The exit of turn 2 once, gave him a shot in the door, and had to lift pretty big and gave up a bunch of spots. So that was tough.
I mean, Brandon, it was a great run on your part, knowing you're still searching for that first win in this series. But, I mean, you certainly were close this go around. But how confident are you feeling into these upcoming of races that are coming up? This season is, again, double the length that it was for season 4. We got a playoffs as well system that's going to be at the end of the season. How are you feeling overall with your performance that you showed here tonight?
Well, Sam, I think I'm feeling pretty good. I honestly didn't think that I was going to run nearly this well based on the practice race that we did. It just seemed like it was going to be kind of a crapshoot, a really tough balancing act on the tires. But I mean, if a track that was this even for such a long time on the tires, if I can run this well here, I think I can run this well really any track we have on the schedule. And like you said, I still want that first win, and I've come pretty close. Unfortunately, I still have never finished better than third, but we're working on that, and the speed's improving. And like you said, getting the elbows out, and I see it coming this season for sure.
Certainly with your pace, we're excited to see what you're going to bring. That's Brandon Colley in the one. And Brandon, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
First off, I want to thank you guys at Freaky Fast Broadcasting for coming on yet again with us here at World Series of Sim Racing. Put on a fantastic broadcast. I can't wait to go back and watch this one. Got to thank our sponsors, Roasted Gems. Love those guys for coming on. Can't thank them enough, and can't thank them enough for the awesome coffee that got sent my way after the sponsorship. If you guys need some coffee, delicious coffee, all types of flavors, roastedgems.com. Use promo code WSSR. Also got to thank my mom and stepdad watching, rooting me on each and every week, and also my mom for sponsoring our grid, which everybody thought was pretty funny.
Oh, we love it up in the booth. It's going to be a fun season having your mom sponsor the grid. But that is going to be the one of Brandon Colley. Congratulations on a third place run, and good luck going into next week.
Yep, see you guys at Indy.
As we go from third place, we bring up second place, which might be a little bit of a different tune. here tonight. We got our last season's champion, Vincent Sora, up in the booth. Vinny, you were up front. We talked to you during that getting ready for the restarts, and man, what was going through your mind just seeing the wolves behind you getting prepared to go attack you?
Defend the best I can and not get wrecked. And unfortunately, I feel like I did the first aspect well, but not the second. I don't know. I don't think there was much more I could have done there. I feel like I did my job as the driver uh, the best I could to my ability because I was able to hold Cedric off and break the draft and take his air away. But unfortunately, just yeah, I mean everyone saw it at the end there. Not happy about it, but I guess it's racing and we'll move on from it.
Vinny, you bring that up. We saw going back into turn one there on the white flag, you gave Brandon a little bit of a bump going into one. Is that something that you're going to carry with you, as we go on into the season? If it comes down to it and the roles are reversed, is that something you might, keep in the back of your head?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I guess it just depends on how the rest of the season goes. I feel like I do a pretty good job of racing everybody with a lot of respect. I don't feel like I'm usually one that you see, uh, getting into people like that and stuff. So I don't know. Race how you want to be raced, and we'll see what happens from here on out.
Well, Vinny, I know, is coming in as last season's champion. There's always going to be a target on your back. You were so quick throughout, winning half of the races of last season. But with this season being longer and the fact that there's a playoff system coming up, what is your confidence level feeling like for these next couple of weeks that are coming up?
I feel really good. I just gotta build points. Like I tried to do tonight. I getting the stage wins and stage points and lap sled and most lap sled and just as high as you can is all that you can really do in this format. And then you got to get to the end and have 6 perfect races. And so hopefully I can do that and build some good points in the upcoming tracks.
Well, we cannot wait to see it, Vinny. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to all of our league sponsors, especially to Roasted Gems Coffee as our title sponsor, hopping on this year. So thanks to them for all they do. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting because you guys do a great job. I want to thank Tom Sinchek for my paint scheme. It's beautiful. It looks good up there. And I want to thank my personal sponsor, McConey Setup Shop. And I want to thank my in-league teammate, Brian Johnson. Unfortunately, he didn't have a good run tonight. He was having a good run until an unfortunate incident with a lapper. So hopefully he can rebound the next couple weeks and we can get these cars back out up front.
Vinny, still a great run for yourself. Second place finish. Great recovery after almost completely spinning out there after the contact with Brandon Colley. But before we look, I got to say, congratulations on that and good luck going into next week.
Thank you guys. You guys have a good one.
As we go from second place, we go to victory lane, and what a crazy event it was bringing in this 13. Cedric, it almost seemed like it was gifted to you after seeing Colley and Vinny make contact, but it's crazy to look back on the stats. You only had one win before this one in this series, and it was a year and a half ago at the end of season 3 at this track at Las Vegas. How does it feel to be back into victory lane and becoming another win here with the WSSR?
Man, it I don't even know where to start. It feels so good. I mean, it's been such a long time. Obviously, we did take a long hiatus, but to come up second so many times, or just take a podium so many times, dude, and finally getting this win is so good. Especially, I felt like coming down to it, I honestly didn't have anything for Vinny, and I tried and I tried and I tried different stuff, and for the life of me, just couldn't seem to be able to get the run, or he would defend it and I would get tight, or something would happen. So coming down to it, realized that my teammate behind me was a lot faster, and he managed to kind of save his stuff over those 10 laps, and he hasn't won and I didn't have a shot at it, so I was go at it, Brandon. And I guess he got to Vinny, which kind of sucks, and it's unfortunate for him, and thankfully, I guess they both still finished second and third. So I'm happy for that, and I'm stoked that it got me the win. I mean, a year and a half, man. This place is so hard to win, and yeah, dude, it just blows my mind that I finally got it done. Feels good.
Cedric, you guys, you push Brandon there. He gets into Vinny, and coming to the white flag, Vinny, gives Brandon a little push, gets into second. How nervous were you going down the backstretch, seeing Vincent was basically, right back to where he was, right back behind you?
Yeah, I had like I think it was like a 3-car gap. I mean, it couldn't be anything more than that, but I figured that, or at least I was crossing my fingers that I've never had problems with Vinny and we've never ran into each other ever. And, I was banking for that to come around full circle and for him not to just completely clean me on the last corner, which I mean, he's not that kind of driver anyways, but, yeah, I mean, I was still nervous because anything can happen. I can make a mistake, hit the white line, and do something stupid and wreck the thing, or just get tight and make a mistake. I mean, at that point, I think going to turn 3, I was already on the Discord celebrating because it felt like I had it. Which thankfully it didn't backfire and I didn't make a mistake. So, yeah, nerves were definitely there.
Well, Cedric, we have you on our driver's cam here for this interview, and I gotta say, congratulations on this win again. But now with getting this monkey off your back, finally getting the win, how are you feeling comfortable-wise heading into this season, knowing that you are now prepared going into the playoffs?
I feel really good, man. First person to be locked in is awesome. It's a great feeling not having to worry about it for the rest of the season. Obviously, there's a couple tracks that I kind of have circled on my calendar. I don't have the schedule pulled up right now, so I can't tell you which ones. But there's a lot less pressure, like you said. So it should be fun. It's gonna be really, there's absolutely no pressure. Just go out there, win, get as many bonus points as possible. Last time I won was 2 races to go, I believe, at the end of the season, and there's really nothing to race for at that point. I think the championship was already locked up with, I want to say, Larry Yingling at the time. It's been a while, so yeah, the other one kind of had no purpose, but to finally win one and to be locked in and to go for something greater is awesome.
That it certainly is. And Cedric, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Absolutely, man. I want to give a huge shout out to every single person that just PM'd me. Congratulations. Big shout out to, obviously I'm going to do this, Category 5 Esports, wearing the t-shirt right now. Wonderful team. Huge shout out to Freaky Fast Racing, all my teammates there. We had a really good run. Stemp even got the pole. He didn't particularly do that great throughout the race, but I mean, he got the pole, and I think that's his first one, if I'm not mistaken, in this league. So congrats to him. Awesome job to all my teammates across multiple teams. I even have Lucky Ducks, so shout out to Lucky Ducks as well. I was pretty exhausted going to today. Spend the whole day out in the sun, kind of going to water slides and going to a water park. So I am absolutely just roasted like a tomato if I take my shirt off, which I won't do because camera. But yeah, roasted like a tomato. So huge shout out to. I'm gonna link that by saying huge shout out to Roasted Gems Coffee for supporting the league. Multiple teams. Our car, we were supposed to have them on tonight, and wasn't able to get the paint scheme on in time, which is quite unfortunate. But hopefully, I'll be able to win a race with them on the car in the future. And huge shout out to all the fans, man. Huge field tonight, brand new season. Stay tuned because I think some of the fantastic racing that you saw tonight will be happening on a pretty weekly basis. So don't forget to tune in every Saturday night.
We're excited for it. That is your winner here tonight for the WSSR Merch Store 225. That is Cedric Hunter. Congratulations, Cedric, on your win, and good luck going into Indy next week.
Thank you so much, man.
As we get ready to take a look at our end of the race results unofficially, certainly a pleasure to see these drivers. Hard, aggressive racing, but at the end of the day, it was the 13 of Cedric Hunter getting the win. A great recovery by the 15 and the 1 of Vincent Sora and Brandon Colley for second and third. But also Gabriel Ellis going to be having a great run for the rookie in fourth place. Zach Hall going to be falling back to fifth. Michael Yarrow, one of our biggest movers, in sixth. With that of Justin Lewis in seventh. Eighth going to be that of Aaron Smith the second. Chuck Sweeting out of nowhere going to be in ninth. And as well, going to be Brad Delph finishing out our top 10.
Yeah, Chuck Sweeting, Michael Yarrow, both those guys up 26, 22 spots from where they started. So great runs for those guys. You know, you look a little bit further down the field, you got, you know, Mark Morales down there in 30th. Rich Jamison started in the top 10 down there in 29th. And Christopher Norris, you know, one of the guys that showed a lot of improvement last season, you know, all having bad runs this week. So hopefully they can rebound next week at Indianapolis.
That is what they're hoping for sure, as Brian Johnson able to come back. Once he started, he was back in 26th position on that last restart, moved himself up to 15th. Great run by that 28 overall, but tonight, what a run it was. And Trevor, thanks for being with me during all of this. And before we call it a night, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
You know, shout out to you guys for bringing me on board full time this season. You know I jumped up in here a couple times to help you guys out through some different leagues and in different seasons, but definitely glad to be a part of this, and definitely looking forward to the season here.
We're happy to have you there, Trevor, joining us. That is Trevor Earhart, myself, Sam Dyer, Robert Moyer Jr. running the productions in the background. Thank you for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on Saturday nights. But just to let you know, more great racing coming up throughout the weekend. Yes, tomorrow, that of Sunday night, we've got that of the 802 Next Gen Cup Series. They're going to be racing at the Monster Mile at Dover for themselves. And then as well, the ISRC Truck Series. They're going to be having their second race of the season after a spectacular Daytona finish last Monday. They go to Miami, the destination of last season's finale race. Well, it's race number 2 of this season. Can't wait to see more racing action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And for us up in the booth for Saturday nights for the WSSR Roasted Gems Coffee Cup Series, these drivers go to Indianapolis, the Oval, the Brickyard. We get to see how the drivers can conquer the brick, as we will see them next week for 90 laps of amazing racing action. We hope it's the same amazing action as we saw here tonight, as the driver that won was that machine on screen, the 13 of Cedric Hunter. Again, thank you for Trevor Earhart, for Robert Moyer, and for myself, Sam Dyer. Thank you for joining us here tonight, and for you all, have a great rest of your night yourself.